Yes. Hi students, let us continue. In a previous video, we just solved the problems on multiple angles and submultiple angles. And apart from that, we have already taken what are the different type of the angles, and based on the formulas and similar model problems also we have solved. In this class or in this video, we are going to deal the very important concept in the trigonometry, that is domain of the trigonometric functions, range of the trigonometric functions, and graph of the trigonometric functions. Domain, range, and graph of the trigonometric functions. Here, actually, one more topic is that in your first PUC NCERT book, that is relations and functions. Then, in that topic, relations and functions, there you just come to know that what is meant by domain and what is meant by range. Here, I just tell very shortly, that is what is meant by domain and what is meant by range. Okay, anyway, so we know that trigonometric ratios. How many trigonometric ratios? The 6 trigonometric ratios are there. For each trigonometric ratios, what is the domain? That means I am just going to write what is the domain of the trigonometric ratios and what is the range of the trigonometric ratios. Okay, first of all, sine function. First of all, sine function or a sine ratio. Okay, sine ratio. So, sine of what are the angles we can substitute here? We have taken that angles at the sine 0, we know that. Sine 30 degree, we know that. Sine of 60 degree, we know that. Sine of 90 degree. Sine of 45 degree, we know that. Sine of 180 degree. 270 degree. 360 degree. Only these many angles? No. So we now know that 1110. So 2360, like that. The different type of the angles we have already found out. Have you found out sine of 1110? In the same manner, have you found out the next angles also, whatever the real number we can substitute. So it is repeats its value. Take a quadrant. It is 360. Again, 2 times of 360, 3 times of 360, or multiples of 360 or multiples of 180. We can convert it. We can easily find the value. And already know that periodic functions. So sine function is repeats its value after a 360 degree, like that. We know that. So only the positive angles, or can we find the negative angle also? Yes, we can find the negative angles also. Sine of minus 30. How do you find the sine of minus 30? Here, positive, negative denotes in which direction angle is subtending. If it is a positive, then it is angle is measured in a anti-clockwise direction. If it is a negative, then the angle is measured in a clockwise direction. Already know that. And already know that the sine of minus theta. What is the sine of minus theta? Minus sine theta. Cos of minus theta plus cos of theta. Because minus theta, fourth quadrant only the cos and sec are positive. Remaining are all negative. Already this knowledge you have. Now using this knowledge, then I am just going to take the domain of the sine function. Domain means in place of theta, in place of the angle, what are the numbers you are replacing? That is our domain. Simply I am just telling in at this moment what is the domain of the sine, domain of the trigonometric functions. Whatever the angles you are choosing, that is our domain of the function. That means which value you are taking for the angle, that is our required domain of the trigonometric ratios. Okay, so what are the values you are taking? Have you taken all the real numbers? Yes, so that what is the domain of the sine function? Domain of the sine function is whole real numbers. Positive real number as well as negative real number, 0, whatever the real number you can take it. That is our required domain. Are you clear? Domain means whatever the values of theta. Whatever the values for theta you are taking, that is our required domain. Next, range. What is the range? After replacing this value, what is the result? For example, suppose if you are taken a sine of 30. What is the sine 30? Sine 30 is 1 divided by 2. What is the sine of 0? Sine 0 is 0. Like that, the sine of 90. What is the sine of 90? 1. Similarly, sine of minus sine of 180. What is the sine of 180? Is 0. And sine of 270. What is the sine of 270? It is -1. Sine of 270 is -1. And similarly sine of 360. What is the sine of 360? Sine of 360 is 0. So like that, observe that. So what are the values you are getting? 0 is there, 1/2 is there, 1 is there, 0 is there again, -1 is there, 0 is there, and we'll get the again. So like that, if you take a sine of -30, what is the sine of -30? It will get the -1/2. Similarly, sine of -90, again sine of minus theta is minus sin theta, minus outside, sine 90 is 1, so -1. So observe that apart from this, or else along with this, you can observe the table. Standard value table is also taken 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, 270, and corresponding sine, cos, tan you are just taken. Observe in these values what is the maximum value and what is the minimum value. So maximum value is the +1 and minimum value is the -1. On the real number line, it is a positive infinity, negative infinity. Here it is 0 and here it is a -1 and here it is a +1. Sine value always lies in between the -1 to +1. There is lies in between -1 to +1. Whatever the real number is taken, whatever the real number is taken, it is positive value and as well as negative value. Whatever the value is taken, it is always gives the value -1 to +1, including the -1 and including the +1. So that what is the range of the sine function? Closed interval -1 comma +1. Range of the sine function is -1 comma +1. Closed interval. So closed interval, open interval. This is said to be a open interval, and this is said to be a closed interval. What is the difference between the open interval and closed interval? Means in the open interval, end points are not included. For example, -1 comma 1 is there. -1 comma 1 is nothing but -1 is not considered and +1 is not considered for the calculation. Here closed interval means end points are included, -1 and the +1. In between, whatever the real numbers are there, all those value we have to consider. So once again, closed interval, open interval. Closed interval means end points are considered for the calculation. Open interval means end points are not considered. End points are not considered means at this moment we can take the value 0.9. Okay, agree. We can take the x value. For example, x is that. So x value I need to choose in this interval -1 to +1, -1 +1. In between that value, whatever the value you can choose. 0.9 we can consider. 0.9 is approximately equal to 1. 0.99 we can consider. 0.999 we can consider. 0.9999 we can consider, like that. 0.99999 we can consider, but not exactly 1 is considered. This is the meaning of the open interval. So obviously it is approximately equal to the 1, but not exactly the 1. So in open interval, end points are not considered. In a closed interval, end points are considered. Okay, that is the thing. You just remember, you just mention it. Open interval, end points are not considered. Closed interval, end points are considered, and in between all the numbers. We have again in a sets topic, we have a explanation for that. I will take the explanation and that on that topic. Anyway, so come to here. So already just got that whatever the angle, sine value always gives the value -1 to +1. Maximum value is +1, minimum value is -1. In between that only it gives. Okay. Next, apart from that, sine function is all. What is the domain? Domain is nothing but theta value. What are the values you are taking for the angle? All those values we call it as a domain of the function. In all the ratios also same. And after replacing the angle value, the sine of that angle, what is the result is that is our range. Okay. Next, similarly, cos function. What is the cos function? Can you take all the numbers, all the real number? Can you take it? Yes, obviously you can take all the real numbers of the domain angle, whatever the positive or a negative real number you can consider. What is the range? Again, the cos function. maximum value and the minimum value, that is closed interval -1 comma +1. So cos value also gives the value in between -1 to +1. N points are included. -1 value will get it, +1 value will get it. For example, what is the cos of 0? Cos 0 is 1. Cos of 90, 0. Are you clear? Cos of 0 is 1. Cos of 90 is 0. Similarly, cos of 180, -1. Cos of 360, +1, like that. And cos of 270, 0, like that. The values are there. So here for the cos function also, the range is -1 to +1. Next, tan function. What is the tan function? What is the domain of the tan function? Here, can you replace all the real number for the tan function? Here, okay, obviously we can replace it, but in some angle, the result is not defined. Tan of how much is not defined? Tan of 90 is not defined. Are you sure? Similarly, tan of 270 is not defined. Similarly, in that manner, I just write in a radian measure pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, and 5 pi by 2, and 7 pi by 2. For all these angles, tan gives the not defined. You can check it. Tan of 90, tan of 270, tan of 5 pi by 2. What is the tan of 5 pi by 2? It is not a standard angle. Split it. How to split it? Tan of 2 2s are 4. 2 pi plus pi by 2. 2 pi is nothing but 360 plus theta, first quadrant. It is tan of theta, tan of pi by 2. What is the value? Infinity. Is that clear? So here the hint is that pi by 2, pi by 2, pi by 2. Which number is multiplying for the pi by 2? Odd number is multiplying. So it is negative as well as the positive. Odd multiple of pi by 2, tan is not defined. Odd multiple of pi by 2 or odd number into 90 is not defined. Tan of odd number into 90, the tan function is not defined. So that not defined means we can't discuss anything about that. So neglect those numbers. Neglect those numbers. In a set of real number, all the real number is just neglect the numbers such that. How we have to neglect the angles or numbers which is odd multiple of pi by 2. That I just write in a general form. How I am just going to write x is equal to odd number. That means 2n minus 1. 2n minus 1 is n is the any integer. So 2n minus 1 into pi by 2. 2n minus 1 into pi by 2. This gives the odd multiple of pi by 2. Are you sure? Check it. N value is replacing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Integer is that. As well as negative integer -1, -2, -3. Whatever the integer is just replaced. Will get the odd number into pi by 2. Tan of that value always it is not defined. So that the result is not defined. So neglected. So neglecting will mean that I am not neglecting means I am not considering these angles. I am not considering these angles. I am not considering these numbers means subtracted. Whole real number set, these numbers or these angles we have to neglect it. How to neglect? X such that x is equal to odd multiple of pi by 2n minus 1. 2n minus 1 into pi by 2, where n is the any integer. Where n is the any integer. Let us take that in a continuous single line. Where n is the any integer. This is the domain. This is the domain of the tan function. All the real number, but yes sir, minus is that all the real number. Yes sir, the odd multiple of pi by 2. Odd multiple of pi by 2 or odd number into 90. Apart from that, values are the real number. So this is represents the set. So I hope you have already known the sets. I just briefly explain it. Sets means suppose. What is the set means? Collection of well-defined objects. Set is nothing but what is the set? Collection of well-defined objects. Sets are always denoted by capital letters of an English alphabet, A, B, C, D, like that, up to Z, whatever the notation you can give. For example, I just take the set. Set A is equal to, what is the set A? For example, even numbers less than 10. Even numbers less than 10. Even numbers less than 10. What is the property? I am just telling that even numbers less than 10. These are the even numbers less than 10. Yes, is satisfying the condition even number less than 10. Apart from these numbers, any other numbers are there? There is no other numbers. So this is said to be a set. What is a set? Set is a collection of well-defined objects or well-defined numbers. So well-defined, there is a particular property is there for these numbers. Similarly, even just the even numbers. What are the even numbers? Here even number less than 10. Or next set as is that vowels of an English alphabet. What are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U. These are the vowels of an English alphabet. There is a particular property, collection of well-defined objects. These are the particularly defined objects. What is the definition of this one? These are the vowels of an English alphabet, like that. Similarly, here two sets I just consider A and the B. B is equal to I just consider 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Now difference of these two sets A minus B we can write. What is the A minus B means? All the elements of A but not the elements of B. All the elements of A but not the elements of B. Right here elements of A, but the whatever the elements you are writing, that element should not be present here from the B. Are you clear? ಇಲ್ಲಿ A minus B ಅಂತ ಏನು ಬರೆಯಬೇಕು? Elements set A ಒಳಗಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ elements ಬರಿ, but B ಒಳಗಿನ elements ಯಾವ ಬರಿಬೇಡಿ. A ಒಳಗಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ elements ಬರಿ. Write all the elements of the set A. Don't write the any elements of B. ಇದರೊಳಗೆ B elements ಯಾವ ಇರಬಾರದು. B ಒಳಗೆ ಯಾವದವ? 2 ಅದ. 2 ಅನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನದ? 3 ಅದ. 3 A ಒಳಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಡ್. Next 4 is that. 4 remove the 4. And 5 is that in the set B. 5 is not there. Okay. This is said to be a minus B. What is the A minus B? Elements of A but not the elements of B. What is the definition of A minus B? Elements of the set A but not the elements of set B. Elements of A but not the elements of B. Elements of A only but not the elements of B. Here 2 is present in the set B, so that remove. 4 is present in the set B, that's why remove. 5 is not there, leave it. So any elements are there which are present in the set B. E set ಒಳಗ B set ಒಳಗ ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ಇದಾವು? ಯಾವ ಇಲ್ಲ. So that this is said to be a minus B. Why I just take an explanation for this one? Because I just written the same thing here. All the real number but not the odd multiples of 5 by 2. Are you sure? Difference of two sets. This is said to be a difference. Difference of two sets. What is the difference of two sets? Already just got the meaning. Elements of the set A but not the elements of the set B. Set A ಒಳಗಿನ elements ಬರೀರಿ. But ಏನಿರಬೇಕು? B ಒಳಗಿನ element ಇರಬಾರದು. B ಒಳಗಿನ element ಯಾವ ಇರಬಾರದು? ಕಾಮನ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ B ಒಳಗಿನ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೆಗೆದು A ಒಳಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. You have a, I think you have a doubt. 2 is there in the A but it is not present, but it is there in the set B, so that remove it. This is said to be a minus B, difference of the two sets. The same thing I just written here. All the elements are all the real number but not the odd multiples of 90. Or odd number multiple of 90 elements should not be there. Okay, so this is the domain. Why I just neglect this one? Because at this odd number into 90, tan of that odd number into 90, which gives the not defined, so that reason I am neglecting. Okay, so you just pause the video and whatever the required ones are there, you just write it. Next one. Now come for the range of the tan function. What is the range of the tan function? So what is the range? Tan. What are the values it is giving? Tan of, suppose tan 0 is 0, tan of 45 is 1, tan of 90, which is not considering here, it is not defined either. And similarly, for example, tan of 210. What is the tan of 210? Tan of 210. 210 is not a standard angle. Split it. How? 180 plus 30. What is the tan of 180 plus theta? Third quadrant. Tan is equals to 180 plus tan of 30. What is the tan of 30? Tan 30 is how much? 1 divided by root 3. Similarly, tan of 60. What is the tan of 60? Tan 60 is root 3. Root 3 is more than 1 or less than 1? It is more than 1. Root 3 value is 1.6, like that will get. So it is more than 1. And similarly, negative value. Suppose if you have a tan of minus theta. What is the tan of minus theta? Minus tan of theta. Instead of the positive angle, if you consider the negative, which gives the negative value. From this, we will get a tan taking the values on the real number range. After replacing tan of some angle apart from the odd number multiple of pi by 2, the result is both or all the real number will vary. Okay. Again, tan all the real number except the odd number into 90 is not considered. Only odd number into 90 is not considered. Remaining all the real numbers are considered. Fine. I am neglecting these odd number into 90 because odd number into 90 which gives the not defined. Not defined means we can't study anything about that one. So that reason I am just neglecting. Except that one, remaining all the real number. The range is nothing but after replacing this angle, what is the result will come? That all the real number will come. Similarly, now come for the cot function. Now, can I write directly cot? So cot of all the real number. Yes sir. Here also cot. You just refer the table. Cot of how much is not defined. Cot of how much is not defined. So you just know that cot of 0. What is the cot of 0? Not defined. Cot of 180. What is the cot of 180? Is not defined. So that reason cot of 180, cot of 0. That means x is equal to integral multiple of pi. N into pi, where n is the any integer. At n pi, any number, any integer into 180, part of that value is not defined. So that reason, except those angles, remaining all the real numbers. All the real number, but some numbers. What are the numbers I am just neglecting? Integral multiple of pi, where n is the any integer. Just remember. Then again, what is the range? Here also we will use the all the real number as the range of the function. Next, sec function and cosec function, two functions. Sec. So sec of all the real number domain. Here also sec of how much is not defined. Check it. Sec of how much is not defined. So sec is nothing but reciprocal of cos. Cos of how much is 0? Cos of 90 is 0. Cos of 270 is 0. Similarly, sec is nothing but sec of 90 is not defined. Sec of 270 is not defined. 90, 270, what are these? These are the odd number into pi by 2 or odd multiple of pi by 2. Sec x such that x is equal to odd number into pi by 2, wherein is the any integer. All the real number, yes, of the odd multiple of pi by 2, which gives all the real number range. After substituting these angle, we will get the real number, but there will not get any values in between the -1 to +1. Suppose it is the real number line is the 0 is there, here it is -1, here it is a +1. Sec of any angle except the odd multiple of pi by 2 will give the all the negative real number, positive real number, but this quotient value, whatever the numbers are there in this range, will not get it. Okay. So next, cosec of what is the domain of the cosec? All the real number, here x, such that x is equal to cosec is nothing but reciprocal of sine. Sine of how much is 0? Sine 0 is 0. Sine of 180 is 0. Similarly, cosec of 0 is not defined. Like that we get, so that integral multiple of pi, where n is the any integer. Similarly here also the range. What is the range? All the real number s of the -1 comma +1. Here open interval is there. Open interval means n counts are not considered. N counts are not considered means for sec range, for sec of some value we will get the -1 and the +1, but I am just not included here s of these all the values, all the real number, but this interval value will not get it. -infinity, +infinity, -1, +1. -1 will get it, +1 will get it, but in between that -1 and +1 values will not get it. So in the second question. Okay, anyhow, once again observe the table, that is domain and the range. Domain means angles. What are the angles you are considering for the trigonometric ratios? That is the domain of the trigonometric ratios. Range means after replacing the angles, what is the result will come? That is our range. So this is the table, very important table. You must remember this table. Okay, this is the table you have to remember, or else you have to manipulate this table. Better to remember it. Very simple. There is a common thing is that sine, cos, tan, cot, and sec, cosec. Observe the range. Ranges are same for the sine and cos, and range is same for the tan and cot. Range is same for the sec and the cosec. Come for the domain. Domain is same for the sine and cos. Little bit change. All the real number s of the odd multiple of pi by 2 called tan, and all the real number s of the integral multiple of pi for the cot. Just need to change. Sec domain is same as the tan domain. Cosec domain is same as the cot domain. You just remember this one. Now the 2 points are clear. Domain is clear, range is clear. You just remember, and whenever you are just discussing the chapter relations and function, on that time you just get the clear picture about the what is meant by domain, what is meant by range. You just remember this much now. Now let's move for the graph of the trigonometric function. I just rub this one graph. Just pause video and note down this table, very important, and just write this table in the formula list. Okay. Now let's move for the graph of the function. What is the graph of the 6 trigonometric functions? First of all, graph of the sine function. Graph of the sine function. Now, as you people already draw the graph, for example, x plus 2x plus 5 is equal to 6. It is a line equation, linear equation involving the two variables. It is a line equation. Have you drawn a graph? Yes. How many people have drawn the graph? X and y value. Replace the x value. What is the y value? X value is 0. Y value is 6. Similarly, x value is 1. What is the y value? 4. X value is 2. Y value is 2. Like that. Replacing the x value, we just get the y value. And considering the xy coordinate plane 0, 6. X value is 0, y value is 6, and 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 2, like that. Joining these 2 points, we get the line. Are you sure? So to draw the line, minimum 2 points are required. This is the A point, this is the B point. So to draw the line, minimum points are 2 points, A point, B point. That's enough. In the same manner, I need to draw the graph of the sine function. So that here I just taken x plus y is equal to 6, or else you can write y is equal to 6 minus 2x. Either this one or this one, as your wish. Now, what I just consider, let y is equal to, or f of x is equal to sine of x. Y is equal to, or f of x is equal to sine of x. I am choosing the particularly x values and the y values. What happens if I take an x value 0 and 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, and instead of taking this one, I just take directly the 90, 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, positive angle. Similarly, consider the negative angle, minus 90, minus of 180, minus of 270, minus of 360, or else write in the radian measure. It is a pi by 2. It is a pi 3 pi by 2, and it is a 2 pi minus pi by 2 minus pi minus 3 pi by 2 and minus 2 pi. Either degree measure or radian measure. Write the corresponding y values. What is the corresponding y value? If x is 0, what is the y value? Y is equal to how much? Sin x is that. X is 0. Sine of 0. What is the sine 0? Sine 0 is 0. Next, x value is 90. Y is equal to how much? Y is equal to sin x. X value is 90. Sine of 90. What is the sine 90? Sine 90 is 1. Y value is 1. Similarly, x value is 180. Sine of 180, 0. Are you clear? Next, sine of 270 is minus 1. Sine of 360, 0. Are you sure? Next, sine of minus theta. What is the sine of minus theta? Minus sine theta. Sine of minus theta is nothing but minus sine theta. It is sufficient to minus for this angle. Sine of minus 90 is that. Here minus 1. Here it is a 0. Minus minus plus 1, and it is a 0. Are you sure? This is the table. With the help of this table, draw the graph. Consider a xy coordinate plane. It is a y-axis, and this is the x-axis. It is the negative side of the x-axis, positive side of the x-axis. On the x-axis, consider the values. What are the x values? 0, 90, 180, 270, 360 is that. I am just going to write the 1 centimeter is equal to 90 degree. That is pi by 2. I am just writing radian measure. Pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2, and the 2 pi. Similarly, negative angles. Minus pi by 2, minus pi, minus 3 pi by 2, and minus 2 pi. On the y-axis, observe the y values. What are the y values? Plus 1, 0, and the 1 is the plus 1, 2, 0, minus 1, and minus 2. Already know the range y value, where minus 1 to plus 1 only. Now plot the points. What will get? Plot the points. How to plot the point? X comma y. 0 comma 0. Where is the 0 comma 0? This is the 0 comma 0. 90 comma 1. Pi by 2 comma 1. X axis pi by 2. Y axis 1. So it is pi by 2 comma 1. Next, pi comma 0. Pi comma 0. Point is on the x axis. Next, 3 pi by 2 comma minus 1. 3 pi by 2 comma minus 1. Next, 2 pi comma 0. 2 pi comma 0. Now, shall I join these points by a straight line or a curve? Shall I join straight line or a curve? Shall I join in this manner or in this manner? First one or second one? So we don't know the in between 0 to pi by 2. Let's come to know that. What is the sine of 40 pi? 40 pi is in between the 0 to 90. Sine of 40 pi, 1 by root 2. What is the 1 by root 2 value? It is 1 divided by 1 point. Root 2 value is more than the 1. So it is more than the 0.5. So it is more than the 0.5. Check it. Sine of 30. What is the sine 30? Sine 30 is 1 by 2. Sine 30 is 1 by 2. Sine of 30 is becomes a half. 1 by 2 is here. 0.5. Are you sure? 1 by 2 is nothing but 0.5. 0. At 30 only it comes the 0.5. Are you sure? So that if you take a straight line, it comes here. But actually the curve is like this. Similarly, it continues. It is the positive values. For positive value like this. Are you clear? Why not a straight line? Why is the curve is in between several values are there for all each real number. The particular values are so used in this manner. Similarly, come for the negative angles. Minus pi by 2 comma minus 1. Minus pi by 2 comma minus 1. Minus pi comma how much? Minus pi comma 0. Minus pi comma 0. Minus 3 pi by 2 comma plus 1. Minus 3 pi by 2 comma plus 1. Minus 2 pi comma 0. Minus 2 pi comma 0 joining curve. So this is the graph of the sine function. It continues up to an infinity. It continues up to an infinity because the domain is whole real number set. Whatever the real number you just take it, the curve comes less value is -1, maximum value is +1. In between +1 and the -1, the curve is oscillating. The curve is oscillating in between the +1 and the -1 on both sides, negative side as well as the positive side. So this is the graph of the sine function. On this graph, you just come to know that more points are clear from the graph. What are the more points? Domain can clear. What is the domain? Angle value. What are the angle value you are considering? All the real numbers you are considering. Domain is whole real number set. Instead of remembering the table, if you remember the graph, we can easily get the maximum number of points is going to clear. What are that? First of all, domain is clear. What is the domain of the sine function? All the real number, because angle value you are considering all the real number. Next, range. Range is nothing but y value. Y value. What are the y value you are getting? Maximum is +1, minimum is -1. In between +1 -1 only the values are oscillating. Next, apart from that, periodic function. What is the periodic function? The function which repeats its value after a definite interval of time. Check it. Sine function is repeats its value after 360 degree. Okay, at the 0, curve is like this up to 360 is there. Again the same curve is there. Check it. This is cut it and paste. You will get the same thing. Have you got my point? Periodic function, it repeats its value after 360 degree. Cut it. It will get this 360 degree. Again the 360 degree. Cut it, paste it. This point comes here. This point comes here. This point comes here. This point comes here, and this point comes here. It repeats its value after 360. Periodic function like that. The several points are there that whenever the topics comes on that time we will discuss. So this is the graph of the sine function. You just remember the graph of the sine function. In this video, I just stop here. Domain, range, and the graph of the trigonometric functions. So one trigonometric function graph is over. Sine function graph is over. For the examination purpose, it is not important, but for the knowledge purpose, it is very important. Domain, range, and the graph of this one. The remaining 5 trigonometric basis graph will be discussed in the next videos. Okay, thank you.